I realized that the way that we've been titling our live streams, and I mean, for whatever reason, I end up coming up with a lot of the titles. You end up coming up with some of the titles. We work together on it. But one way or the other, I'm like, they're very matter of fact. I mean, we're trying not to be too hypey because we are selling marketing stuff after all. And often we're in front of marketers, and on social media, if you're too hypey, you get slapped in the head anyway, right? But I realized that a lot of our titles.
Wait, what? Gene says
a lot of our titles and descriptions really weren't all that fascinating, weren't all that intriguing, weren't all that interesting, weren't all that curiosity creating. And so today we are going to talk a little bit about my favorite breakfast.
Baboon ass?
Baboon ass. And oh, it is so fine. I got to tell you, I'm going to tell you the entire story about baboon ass for breakfast in just a moment. But before I do, how's your day going, Joshua?
It's going good. Going good. Little slow on the uptake because I'm coming down after like a 2-week stretch of super productive run, and and then yesterday we were so slammed with everything that we were doing.
Yeah,
it was a good day, but then like I hit a wall this morning where I'm like looking around, going, now what do I do? But I finally got some momentum back underneath me.
Cool. Well, I'm in the midst of preparing a social distancing sleepover. Outside, camp out, social distancing sleepover with a bunch of teenage boys. Should be fascinating. I'm sure not the least bit frustrating. No, it's gonna be a full house, like
not for them.
Yeah, that's right. Seven or eight boys on a sleepover tomorrow night. So we'll see what happens with that. It should be pretty cool. So
nearby your house, or guys going to like a campground or what?
The sleepover is actually happening up at Jody's place.
Oh, so like at some
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm helping her get ready for all that. So I want to tell you about this email. And I think that this email was sent. Whoa, interesting. March. Now this may or may not be the first time this was sent, but I think it was March 23rd, 2010. So this email is 10 years old, and the subject line of the email is baboon ass for breakfast. And I'm going to read the email to you, and as I'm reading it to you, I'd like you to make commentary in the comments about whatever you want. Okay, what do you think is cool about it? Now, I did put it in the description, and most of the places that we're beaming to right now, you'll be able to read along in the description if you want. But just know that if the name Brett shows up in the email, then that's just in your mind. Replace that with your name or first name, right? So the subject line is baboon ass for breakfast. It says, I know first name, I know. The first time I ate it for breakfast, I had the same reaction. But before you get too disgusted, you're probably wondering why I was willing to put it in my mouth in the first place, right? Before you read any further, I must warn you that the email below contains some details that might make your lips curl and your hair turn white. So if you really just want to get to the point and find out how to get free traffic delivered to your doorstep like a gift every month, just click here. For the rest of you brave souls, read on. First, I wouldn't ever have gone anywhere near baboon ass if it hadn't been sent to me. Okay? Secondly, under no circumstances would I have willingly put it on my eggs if it didn't come from someone I trust implicitly? Thirdly, I definitely wouldn't have ordered more if I didn't like it. Whew! Since we have that straight, let me explain. I didn't go down to the store and buy this stuff. It arrived in the mail. Just like you could be getting your traffic delivered free like clockwork each month. I get something in a long, narrow brown box in the mail each month, as I have been for the last 6 months or so. And no, I didn't order it. These packages are actually sent to me courtesy of one of my colleagues. He actually signed me up for this as a gift, and I get a surprise in the mail each month. But I've left out the really exciting part. When I see that brown box on my doorstep, my heart begins to race. My mouth starts to salivate as I think about what could be inside. And this specimen was the biggest doozy yet. Listen, what I want you to be thinking about right at this point, as it applies to your online business, is what if you could get loads of buying traffic delivered to your doorstep every single month like clockwork, and you didn't even have to pay for it in the first place? What if you could just sit back and watch it roll in? You can. Here's how I do it every day, and that's a link. Now, for the important part, can you imagine what baboon ass on your eggs would look like? I can.
Sunny side up.
And it's because of the single most important marketing or business secret I've learned to date. Are you ready? I will share this gem of wisdom with you in a few short seconds, but I have to make absolutely sure you are prepared for it. It is that important. You see, before I ate baboon ass, I was a little unclear about how all this worked. But, no pun intended, today I realize I have been doing it for the past several years without knowing it. So picture this. There I am, walking in the door, and resting at my feet was the box I'd been waiting for all month. The last one that arrived was a disappointment because it had cracked open in the mail, and believe me, you didn't want to be there for that. But this one seemed completely intact. I ran up to the kitchen, cut open the packing tape with my keys. As I ripped open the cardboard, I saw a little piece of folded up paper that said, "We're sad to see you go." This is your very last delivery of the H blank 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 S blank 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 of the month club. To continue receiving your monthly gourmet package, visit our website, ... Then they gave their website. I was stunned. It was the last one. The very first thing I thought was, I have to go and renew my subscription. Ah! And there's secret number one I'm going to let you in on. Once you have traffic flowing, once you have people consuming what you have to offer, even if it's baboon ass, you can get them locked in and coming back for more and more and more. Think about it. You see, I'll admit it. I'm addicted, like you, maybe to high quality information about how to become more successful online. Once I started learning from someone who really teaches me something valuable, I'm addicted and I want to learn more and more from them. Just like I want to eat more and more baboon ass for breakfast. And that's why my friends set me up to get more of it in the mail each month. You see, baboon ass is actually a hot sauce. And I'm a member of the Hot Sauce of the Month Club. So every month, I get a bottle of gourmet, often hard to find hot sauce that is always new, exciting, and delicious. And this is lesson number 2. Because if I had seen a hot sauce called baboon ass in a store, it is highly unlikely that I would have purchased it. But since I got it in the mail, I opened it, I tried it, and I loved it. All because a close friend recommended the product and gave it to me as a gift, just like I'm about to give you the gift of traffic. And so I learned 2 powerful marketing lessons from baboon ass hot sauce. 1, once you have traffic flowing and people buying, you just have to keep delivering the goods, and they will come back again and again for more. 2, you are more likely to try, trust, and like things that a friend offers as opposed to a blind offer sitting on the shelf. 3, but there was a third lesson as well. And that lesson hit me when I picked up the package from my doorstep and I took a knife and I ripped it open with my car keys. It was this. if I could teach you how to get free traffic delivered to your door free, like clockwork, just like my free Club of the Month gift, that it would change everything for you forever. I know I would. So here's what I decided to do. If you go to the link below, you will discover the most powerful and effective way to use these concepts to get traffic dumped on your doorstep each and every day, same as if a good friend had ordered it, special delivered just for you. Here's your free traffic. That's a link. Shabambo and bon appetit. Tellman. P.S. Along with that, if you'd like to have some awesome company of like minds while building your first website, this is definitely the number one place to do it. I think that was to a different offer. All right. So
what?
That
we're getting lots of people going, what the heck?
That's right. That's right. So that was the Baboon Ass for Breakfast email. And it's kind of cool because as I was reading it to you, I grabbed it right before this live stream started. And it's been years since I actually read that one. That one that I just read you was actually a redo. It was a second version of this email promoting this traffic offer because the first version of it did so well. The one I just read to you wasn't quite as eloquent as the first. The first was actually promoting a launch that was happening around continuity programs and starting your own monthly continuity program. And so
right.
the hot sauce of the month continuity program, that's what connected in my mind. I was promoting, someone was doing a launch. It was a continuity program thing. I was promoting it. I was like, how am I going to promote this? And the Baboon Ass arrived. I ate Baboon Ass that morning for breakfast. And it was like my favorite continuity program that I was a member of. Right. So that's where the inspiration came from this thing.
Thanks, Mike.
Let's see all the different people. I'm going to go into the group here and see who's making comments.
Mike and Rory are enjoying the hell out of it, and as is Gene, as is thank you, Bessem or
Right.
Basem. What is it? How do you pronounce?
I have no idea. Something
Basem?
along those lines.
Appreciate the love.
So one of the biggest things is there are so many ways to make more money with your email list, to create a more responsive email list, to create a deeper bond with your people. And it happens, yes, it can happen in a big system. Yes, you can create long autoresponder sequences that onboard people and connect with them with you. And these are super valuable, and you should absolutely do everything you can in order to build long-term relationships. But you can also do an enormous amount of this work and connection with a single email. And you can take all sorts of crazy stuff that happens in your life, adapt it, and turn it into incredibly entertaining ad copy, whether it's a Facebook ad, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an email, whether it's a Facebook Live. I just read a 10-year-old email to you, and people are going bananas about it, right? Which is great. I'm stoked.
Yep.
But how do you make your stuff more interesting? Once you're already in front of the right audience, how do you get them to pay more attention to you? And this is a subtle art. Most people just think about the audience that they want to get in front of and saying something that audience will resonate with, right? What I'm saying is, what if you're already in front of the right audience? You've already done that work. But how do you get them to pay attention if they're sleepers? How do you get them to pay attention if they're not opening your emails, if they're not engaging with your posts, if they're not watching your videos? Gene, you are the copywriter. You are the copywriter. This is the point. It is all in your life. All this stuff is in your life right now. What do you got, Joshua?
I was just playing off of what Gene was saying there, what you were telling Gene. There's so many different examples, Gene, that Tillman and I could pull out of what you've shared with us at various points in time that would be your version of Baboon Ass for breakfast. Everything from, gee, I look like Laurel Hardy, to, like a whole host of other stuff that is just uniquely you, and that's the signature story, right? I mean, I've done emails around one of a very successful email. It was polarizing, but it was a very successful email. It was back in 2001. It opened with "The casket was to my left," and I talked about doing a eulogy for my grandmother and at her funeral. And I talked about how, like, the last few months of my life were a roller coaster of up and down and highs and lows. And I talked about my daughter being born and holding her for the first time, but coupled with my grandmother, who actually raised me from the time that I was 2 months old to 3 months old. And I tied it in, of course, to what I was, what the theme of the conversation was. But I mean, like, it's easy to do that stuff if you'll look at real life and you're willing to be vulnerable. You're willing to share what's up for you, and do it in a fun way. I mean, like if you can't be as eloquent as Telman was with Baboon Asked for Breakfast, so what? Like, do your version of it. And as you start to play with telling it from your point of view and being yourself about it, you'll get better at being you and being the authentic you.
That's right.
Absolutely
true. Absolutely true. And not only does it come with practice, but even when you get good at it, you still get bad at it again, and then you get good at it again, and you get bad at it again, and then you get good at it again. Like you have peaks and valleys in terms of your creativity and the effectiveness.
I'm sorry, Gene. Tell the story in one of your emails about the first time you did a live stream. Tell that story.
Right.
And what happened after you turned off the camera and how hilarious it was, or how after you thought you turned off the camera and what happened. I mean, like, that is awesome. Like, to the point where I told that story to my wife after you told it to us.
Right.
Like, and it was funny because, like, I didn't intentionally tell her that, but she saw me just giggle out of nowhere. And what I was giggling about was your story. So then she's like, what's so funny, Josh? And so I told her your story, and she's like, that's hilarious. Like, she loved it.
So before you mention this piece about Jean and her story specifically, Joshua, I was thinking about, let's say you go to a high school reunion, or you get together with an old best friend that you haven't seen in at least a decade, maybe more. Okay. And you're hanging out, and it's just like old times, right? Could even be like a close family member. You know what I mean? You're hanging out, and it's just like your best friends again, right? And think about the types of stories that you would tell them about your life in the last 10 years to catch them up. What are the high points, the low points, the crazy shit that has happened that, like, you got to tell your old best friend about, right? These are the types of things you can start writing emails about. These are the types of things you can start doing Facebook Lives about. And I mean, it's interesting because this is something that has been said to public speakers since public speakers have been trained, and then people that do online speaking events, teleseminars, then webinars, now live streams, is that you're going to get tired of your story long before your audience ever gets tired of your story. And you may have told that story a dozen times or 100 times or 1,000 times. It doesn't matter, right? Every time you tell it, it's practice. And everyone has these stories and these things that they say that get certain types of rise out of people, certain types of reactions. And you're looking for stories that people like to hear about, right? And that are engaging or funny or entertaining or, captivating in some way.
Amen.
I mean, Gene, just the number of stories you could tell, like Tales from the Bikini Shop, even though you're selling your art, like, Tales from the Bikini Shop would be hilarious to no end, I expect, right?
I agree.
I'm sure that the funny stuff that people say while they're trying on bikinis when, like, there are no guys around is probably hilarious, right? I would expect. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. But
I don't know. My daughter says some pretty funny shit.
I don't know.
She's got a great sense of humor.
Let's see. Oh, he said the first time you said it very well. Nice. Gene was saying she needs a copywriter. Gene's becoming a copywriter. Kick him in the ass, Seabass. I don't know who that was. I think it was Rory. Let's see. He's like back in 2001 when the internet marketing was a virgin. Yep.
Yeah, I was referring to when I sent the email out back in 2001 back then. Yeah. I mean, like, it was definitely Wild Wild West days then.
That's right. That's right. Jane's going to set up her voice recorder and start adding quips that she remembers. Yeah, and just make notes into your phone. You know what I mean? When you hear a good subject line, or just write it. Just write it right down. Basim says, "Great insights, Joshua." Gene is laughing. So right there, husband 2.0. That is one hell of a subject line that people would totally respond to. What's the story around husband 2.0? Right. I'm sure it would be very funny.
Especially you telling it, Gene, because you've got a great sense of humor. I mean, the way that you tell a story when we're just shooting the shit and talking, in the client situations, you are funny. I mean, you've got a natural gift, and if you just don't overcomplicate it and just be yourself, but put it in email, like I mean, even if you have to have just a raw transcription of you telling the story, and then get somebody else to tweak it up a little bit so that you don't try to make it all perfect and like that, you will find that is gold. I mean, this stuff isn't that hard. It really isn't. It doesn't have to be. The signature story stuff that we've been talking about, Gene, it's not a big deal. It's like, string one or two of these stories together and have it be like leading into one another, and boom, you got it. Or you've got the beginnings of one that you can iterate on.
I don't know, Gene, whether you are, I expect you probably are, but if you're a good hostess, do you like throwing parties and setting everything up for everybody, and is that your thing? I don't know. The reason I ask is because I'm imagining right now, I know you have your Facebook group for your all of your art, like your long-term art clients and patrons that all support your work and buy all the different things that you release. I'm imagining not a Zoom call webinar style, but a Zoom call meeting style, and we talked about this a little bit before, but doing a virtual gallery opening or tour, but
wine and cheese.
You ask everybody to turn their cameras on in their home with a shot of your work in the background. And so I'm imagining 30 videos on the screen and in a grid, and it's you and 30 of your customers. And you can, every single one of them has a different piece of your art hanging behind them on camera. And it's a gallery tour showing some of your most recent work and a meet and greet. So you can all drink some wine and hang out and and what you could do is you could tell a few funny stories about when you met, this person, or a funny email conversation that you had with this person. And, basically introduce people to each other, It'd be a great way to use that sense of humor and play around with telling different stories and seeing what people respond to.
I still think you need to start a live stream at some point with your makeup all messed up and how do I look? And we were joking about like clown makeup or have some just craziness. I mean, you just have fun with it. Just be yourself and enjoy it, and people will enjoy it with you.
That's right.
The idea though of the art behind you and that is huge. And if you do it right, people will want to be featured, right? And that and then you can tell a story even if you don't know the person individually. You can tell a story about the art piece.
Where you got the
what
idea.
Inspired it, and how you got into painting buoys in the first place, or whatever. It's endless of how you can do it and still make it meaningful, and that story makes it unique and different, but it makes the piece, your art, more valuable. because now there's a story behind it that they didn't understand before when they were just looking at it for what it moved them, in the art itself, in the piece itself.
So what we're talking about here are different creative, innovative ways to engage and build your audience. And so as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, perhaps you're a coach, maybe you're a consultant, maybe you already have an email list, then it's just you're not treating it up to snuff. You're not getting stuff out there that's really, really making an impact and really connecting with people. And you know there's a lot more money in that list, but you're just not engaging and connecting with them in ways that are possible. If you want to grow your audience, you want to grow your list, you want to grow your tribe for a new or existing business, and what we're talking about here sounds interesting to you, then we would love to have a chat. We have a few spots open on the calendar. You can go to www.letstalkprivately.com. I'll type it in. I don't know if you do or don't have the ability to hit it on your screen right now.
I can. It's probably huge right now, though. Let me see if I can shrink that down a bit, and then
pump it up. All right.
Let's see. Yeah. All right. There it is.
Let's talk privately.com. I have a few different spots available on the good old fashioned schedule. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you're looking to grow, if you're looking to connect with your existing audience and grow your existing audience in a totally new way, go to Let's Talk Privately. Book a call. Answer all the questions. If you don't answer the questions, the call will not get successfully booked, and it's going to save both of us a lot of time if I can get a quick snapshot of what's going on with you and your business and what you're trying to do before we get on the phone. So Let's Talk Privately.com is the place to go if you have been enjoying what we're chatting about here. Let's see.
Yeah, and I just want to comment on something that I totally agree with you, Basim, about that. What you found to be true. Like the more that the less rules, quote unquote, rules you follow about in your communication with people, the more successful your marketing gets. And I would even take it a step further. The more authentically you that you can be, whatever that is. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be Tellman. Don't try to be anybody else but you. But the more authentic to yourself and true to you that you can be, the better that it's going to resonate with people, because they get that you're being real, that whatever it is that you're communicating is you, and people miss that. They crave that kind of authenticity in their life, because everybody is going around putting on their masks and airs about who they are, what they are, and nobody is just being themselves. I'm not saying nobody, but the majority of the people out there are not doing that. And in email, it's definitely not that. It used to be a little bit more competitive. Now it's so easy to stand out because you can just be you authentically, and at the same time stand out because you are. I mean, nobody else can tell your authentic story but you. And nobody can tell it in the way that you can tell it. So you don't have to worry about being, ripped off or imitated, because, if they try to copy the words, it's just going to be a duplication of your words. But it's like trying to copy the leaves of a tree, but the roots are what makes the tree grow and become what it is,
That's right. That's an interesting point you bring up, Joshua. One of the things about being a copywriter, right, is that, in my opinion anyway, that makes you an artist. Okay. Being a writer is absolutely a creative pursuit, among other things. And when trying to become better, to improve your craft, one of the tricky things is, how do you learn to become better? By study somebody else's methodology, whether you're studying copywriting methodologies specifically to get better at copywriting, or whether you're studying creative writing methodologies to become better at writing short stories, novels, poetry, whatever it is. Inevitably, whoever you're studying is going to have an influence on you. That's why you're studying under them. And oftentimes during that process, people feel as if they're writing in someone else's voice. And so the trick is still continuing to tell your story authentically, but focus on improving your skills simultaneously. And what will happen is you'll be able to tell your story even better with greater impact.
Yeah, and I mean, in the beginning, if that's what you've got to do to learn the craft, which is what I did, you know, I mean, exactly. Gary Halbert said, copy over winning sales letters by hand every day. That's what I did. So my copy still to this day sounds a lot like Gary Halbert's, but it's me being me now. In the beginning, it was more like me imitating Gary, right?
Right.
As it became part of me, then that, I mean, like, I'll never forget the time when, like, I got a start in network marketing at various points in time back in 1993, I think was my first venture into network marketing. And I didn't have any kind of success with the various ventures that I pursued until about 95, 96. I started to get some success. And it was interesting because my mentor that I learned the presentation from had a certain way of being. And it wasn't till I went to a generic network marketing, self-improvement training seminar about how to, improve your network marketing skills in business and from anything like the internet marketing or business marketing boot camps. This was one for network marketing. And when I got on stage to do my presentation, the one comment that really smacked me between the eyes at the end from the instructor that was giving me the feedback was, he said, "It sounds like you're trying to do somebody else's presentation, not yours."
Right.
And I was like, he's right. Because I was doing everything and I was his mannerisms, and I was talking at 100 miles an hour, and everything was all exciting. And I never, and that was his style that I was emulating. And it worked for him because that's who he is. And, and then like the other thing that he said to me is like in copywriting, if you bold everything, you bold nothing.
That's
and
right.
I was like, yeah, you're right. And so from there, I just started to allow myself to be myself and, to still carry the same principles that I wanted to communicate to people. And I had so much more fun with it. And before I knew what hit me, like within 6 months of doing that, making that shift, nobody wanted to attend his trainings anymore, his presentations. Right. They all wanted to attend mine because I was just having fun with it. And like everybody was cross lines, were bringing their people to my presentations because it was just like, I don't know. I mean, like maybe I was just too real. Like I felt like them, I guess,
right.
That type of thing. And it didn't take anything away from my mentor at all. It just was like different strokes for different folks. And anyway, it was a very interesting story or experience to have with it from that standpoint.
Yeah, no, it is really, really interesting, that process that you go through. And I think it's inevitable, right? I mean, if you're becoming a student of someone, you're learning how to do things the way that they're going to do them. Imitation at first is part of the process, right?
Right.
And like you can't just all of a sudden grok all the stuff and be ready to roll, So,
right. Well, and you know what, Tom, you brought up an interesting point because like the art or the craft, right? Like right. Artist and craftsman. And in the beginning, like, because you said both, it was interesting. Like you said, like you're an artist, and then when you're practicing your craft, you switch to craft.
That's interesting.
And I believe that craft is where it starts because you've got to learn the craft first.
Yeah.
Then you can put your own flair on it, and the artistry comes out of you once you have the foundational craft. Like the copywriting that was instilled into me from John Carlton and Gary Halbert and Caples, and at the dating way back to Rosser Reeves and even back beyond that with USPs and that was Rosser Reeves, but the whole gamut is part of the craft. And what I do today is the art, but it's right. Based that like all of that is there and present in all of what I do now. Yep.
That's the name of the game. So whether you want to get better at the art or the craft, whether you want to build a bigger list, connect with your people on a deeper level, sell more of your stuff through email, letstalkprivately.com. I have 6 or 8 time slots available on there right now. And that's really about it. There's no pressure. If it makes sense and you want to chat about this stuff more, we would love to talk. And if not, then I think we'll probably see you on Monday.
Cool.
I think that's about it
All
for
right.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Hey, I
guys.
just wanted to say, Telman, thank you for last night. That was awesome. I really enjoyed doing the presentation, doing the way that we did it, what happened, the interaction. It was really fun, and so much so that I couldn't get to sleep last night because I was just so supercharged, and I was exhausted right before it. So
People loved it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should do it live several times. Just do the same.
I agree.
Really get it tuned in.
And I got some ideas. I love your idea about the on-demand aspects of it. Once we get different versions of it and get it rocking, but I've got some cool ideas that I think we can work with and have the comments be with it in the on-demand portion as well, so that it unfolds. So I think we can do some really fun stuff with it.
Cool. I had a on a slightly separate note. I had an interesting conversation with somebody that is kind of a business contact that I've known for quite a few years about some of the interesting things that are happening with text messaging right now, and
seems like there's some deregulation because I'm getting a lot of unsolicited.
Yeah, no shit. I'm getting a lot of that stuff too. It's a little weird. That's not what we talked about though.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Anyway, I was thinking about Fred the Flea and how you first started using him to collect phone numbers. And I realized how we could do that again in an interesting way. So
I'm game. Let's do it.
Do you have a few minutes right now? I can call you on the phone.
Yeah, I'll make time.
All right, great. I'll give you a call. Bye, guys.
All right. See ya.
Toodaloo. Have a great weekend.
Bye. You too.